Good afternoon, and glad to be here today to share a little bit about Skokomish Indian Tribal Enterprises here in 2020. What I did in this presentation is I just gave an overview of the businesses themselves, and I didn't really go into COVID-19 or what we're doing now. And what I'd like to do is, as I talk about each business, kind of just give you a brief overview of what we're doing right now and how we're approaching COVID-19 and what some of our future plans is, as I can share them today. So if you don't mind, can you go to the first slide, please? Do I have control over this? Thank you. As you know, one of our businesses is Lucky Dog Casino, which is about 7 miles north of Shelton. And Lucky Dog's been there since the year 2000. It closed for a small period in 2009. Reopened in 2010, and it's had a few expansions since then, but it's been very successful ever since. We closed Lucky Dog on March 16th, like a lot of casinos in Washington State, and we opened. Thank you. And we opened at the beginning of July. We were one of the last casinos to open, mostly because of the size of the Skokomish reservation. The Skokomish tribe has a little over 800 tribal members, and just north of 300 of them live on the reservation. So we really were very careful about how we brought tourism in and what we did with our businesses. So as we closed things down, we actually closed everything down for quite a period of time. We closed Lucky Dog down for 4.5 months. And during that time, we actually paid the employees, and they were able to stay home. And as we opened back up, we did it slowly, and we retrained everyone. We changed a lot of our procedures. It's a must-wear mask environment. We took out all the drink stations. We changed our business hours in the last adjustment they made to phase 3. We stopped selling alcohol at 10. We close at midnight. We've been very successful. We feel it's a very safe place to game. A lot of our customers feel comfortable there. Obviously, it's quite different than what we've ever done it before. Could you please go to the next graphic? We have an event room that holds 300 people. We stopped having events even before we closed. About 2 weeks before we closed, we stopped doing giveaways, and we stopped having the types of promotions that we would normally have. And we've been using the event room for the tribal administration and the tribal council ever since we closed, and it's been very useful. They also, as you know, have a new community center they built several years ago right across the highway, which has also been closed, and they're just starting to get that reopened to do some things with their education program. Could you please go to the next slide? A little information about Lucky Dog. We have 13,000 square feet of gaming, 175 gaming machines. We don't have table games or any other style of gaming. We have a bar and grill called the Drift. The event center I just showed you. We have a non-smoking gaming area, about 60 employees, and we've done expansions in 2006 and 2013. Twin Totems is on the same pad. It's right next door. I think that if I got this right, I think it opened in 1974, a version of it. And we've done a lot of expansion and changes. We just completely reskinned and spent a lot of money on the store. We brought in ethanol-free gas, and we completely redid the inside of the store and redeveloped and redesigned some things. We're investing in a lot of different types of software. So it's been closed since the week of March 16th. It's open to the community only, but the gas pumps are open on credit. We brought in some porta potties for people to be able to use because it's kind of a long stretch drive from Shelton to Hoodsport. And we keep it closed now. We're looking at some opportunities to open it up partially, at least, for the general public again. But it's been really important for the tribal community to have a safe place to go, and we wanted to be able to keep them on the reservation as much as possible. So we've used it to sell grocery items that we brought in and give people a safe place to go. It's also a must-wear mask environment, has been since the beginning. We did a lot of redevelopment inside of there as well, a lot of plexiglass, standing zones, hand sanitizing stations, things we're all used to now. Next slide, please. Waterfront at Potlatch is just up the road from there north, about 4 miles, and it's a motel RV park that we've had since 2006. And it's a property that typically sells out in the summertime on the weekends and during the peak season. We decided to go ahead and close it and reserve it for the tribe in case they had any needs during the pandemic. So it's remained closed. We opened the RV section back up. We have 14 RV spots that are waterside RV spots. We opened those up about 5 weeks ago, but we continue to have the guest rooms closed, and we're evaluating now when we're going to start reopening this in portions, but a portion of it is still reserved for the tribe until we get out of the pandemic and out of our state of emergency. So it's been very good to have it here, and we've actually used it to assist us in some isolations and some other things. And just keep in mind, our reservation is very small, so resources can be limited, but once we were able to evaluate what we have and what we needed to do, we were able to do everything quite well. So this has really helped the tribe out, and I really hope to get some rooms back in revenue towards in October or in November, but we're going to continue to evaluate, and as long as the numbers of infected sick people keep going down in Mason County as they are now, I'm hopeful that we might be able to, now that we're out of the tourism season, not see the spikes we did 4 and 6 weeks ago with 75, people and getting up towards those numbers. Next slide, please. We have cabins that have been great for isolation, and that property has just been a real godsend for us. So another one of our summer products that we only have open in the summer is Skokomish Park at Lake Cushman. And Skokomish Park, we closed this season, mostly due to the crowd size that's typically attracted to Skokomish Park. And it's not unusual for us to have 600 campers overnight. And as many day visitors, so we can have 1,000 people in this park at any given time. And we just couldn't see our way around being able to operate in any form or fashion without crowding, without some of the traffic issues that it brings into the Cushman community as well. And as our neighbors, we really wanted to be careful. We didn't want to draw the traffic to Hoodsport as well. We drive about 15% of the traffic comes to visit us. So we were able to determine that whenever this resort closed. When it closed, the business had gone down. And as we built this out again and we're able to really get some business going up here, we saw the businesses down in Hoodsport grow. So we had a pretty good idea how much of that traffic in the summer actually just comes to the park. Although they were still very busy this summer and they had a good summer, I think that had a lot to do with the fact that people just were dying to get out and had nowhere to go. So we kept the park closed all summer. We used it for a period of time for the tribe to be able to go and get away from their houses, tribal members only, and that was a great relief to them. After 5 months, they were pretty pent up and they were ready to kind of just get off their block. So it was nice to be able to we only had a very small section open for them as well. And we had a lot of criteria. We didn't have any of our retail services open, and it was basically just for exercise, but it worked out very well for that purpose. So that's the Skokomish Tribal Enterprise businesses, the 4 of them that are located in Mason County. And that's kind of like the real quick version of our status today. Everything remains closed. The one thing I didn't mention is the boat launch at Saltwater Park, which is also it's been closed for quite a while, and we closed it right before shrimp season, and that was also due to the traffic that it draws. And it's one of the pieces of real estate that I manage as well. And typically, just for the shrimp opening and for those first 2 weeks, we deal with hundreds of people, and we have to call out the highway patrol. And there's a huge push for people to get in, a lot of crowding, and we did not want to deal with that during this pandemic. So we closed it down, and as soon as we get out of a state of emergency, we'll be able to reevaluate these things. But we've been very cautious and very patient with how we look at everything. We have maybe 1,000 dry acres on the entire reservation. We don't have a lot of room and space. We don't have a lot of visitation outside of the summer push that we get. And now that school's open, we just don't really have a lot of people headed north of Shelton in the wintertime when it's the darkest and the coldest. So we're pretty optimistic that we should be able to continue to stay safe. I didn't mention that no one at the casino, no one at any of the businesses has contracted COVID. And we've had very few incidents on the reservation, and those have only been within the last month. So we feel pretty optimistic, but it's, you know, it's about fighting the good fight and hanging in there because it's not over yet. So staying consistent and not burning out and remaining diligent as we continue to work on opening these businesses again and working on opening up some of the tribal programs as well, which are still closed. So a lot of the tribal center is still closed to the public, and they're working really hard on finding ways to get those departments open again. And within the next couple of weeks, I think every department's going to have a way for people to come and do business with them and take clients again. So we're really optimistic about that as well. So I don't want to say too much. I don't want to sit here and talk for an hour. I think I kind of went through everything very fast. How do we do this from here, Heidi?
Hi, Dave. Deidre Peterson here from Shelton Chamber. That was a perfect segue, so thank you for that. We did have a few questions that came through during your presentation. So the first of those is, when will Twin Totems and the restaurant reopen? We need food options.
Thank you. So I'm going to start with the food restaurant. What we're going to do within very soon, we're going to have a curbside dining option, and you're going to be able to order online and pick up curbside. So when I say soon, I mean within a matter of the next 2 weeks, sometime in the next 2 weeks. So that it's open now. I mean, it's not that it's closed. I just wouldn't say it's the greatest dining experience because, you know, it's a mask mandatory environment. We reduced the seating to 25% of what it normally was. We take the criteria that was given to us through a lot of resources, and we continued to tighten it up a little bit till we got comfortable. So I think we have 5 tables in our restaurant. It just really, people just haven't really cared to dine in there. So we're going to do the curbside, and hopefully that will help. And that's going to be an ongoing brand. It's going to be a different brand. It's going to be called Drift 101. And it's going to have some different offerings. You're also going to be able to order the same Drift food if you'd like to, but it's a little more family friendly. We have some bundles there, some larger size items I think that people will enjoy if they're trying to feed a family. And that restaurant was really geared towards over 21 in a bar, where this is more geared towards people maybe picking something up on the way home.
Great.
The bright spot on that menu will be pizza. We have a pretty good pizza product that we're kicking out. I don't think we're going to cause a lot of competition to the pizza parlors in Shelton, but hopefully locally we'll give people an option when they're tired and off of work and something, you know, to pick up. When it comes to Twin, we're also working on some other solutions besides just opening it back up. But I hope that in October or November we'll have that sorted out. We're going to keep it the way it is through this month for sure. But I'll make sure to contact the chamber whenever we do, so you guys can communicate to everyone in the chamber as well. And Heidi in the chamber has been great with communicating with me, so it's become really important that I connect with you guys, because you guys can really help spread the word to the local community, and that's important.
Well, thank you, David. That is, after all, what we're here for, and glad to be providing this opportunity and getting an update, because I know folks are eager to know what's happening out there. In line with that last question, there was a follow-up asking when Skokomish Park and the boat launch are expected to reopen.
And thank you for that question too. So as you could probably guess, the season's over. We would typically take bookings through September and stop in October. So our goal is to take bookings for next year like we normally would. We've done a lot of redevelopment at Skokomish Park, spent a lot of money, created a lot more day use. There's 4 times the day use than there was when we closed it. So we have a brand new day use park that's really nice. And it's not on the beach. It's actually in a forest, and it's called the Forest Day Use. So it's got benches and walking paths, and we made the park non-smoking with smoking areas. So we've done a lot of different things to the park in this downtime. I would look to book in December if you're going to camp, and then you might want to start peeking at what the day use is. We're going to change the model a little bit this year. When it comes to Saltwater Park, I really don't know. I can't give an answer for that. It really has to do with the state of emergency the tribe's in and the state of the pandemic. So I just can't give any solid answer there whatsoever. But whenever it does open, I will contact the chamber so you guys can communicate that.
Thanks, David. And, we know that things can change from today to tomorrow, so we'll continue to check in with you as things move forward. The last question that we had come through was asking about the tribe size. It says, you mentioned that a couple of times. Why or how does that play into your response for the pandemic?
Because of the small area that we're on. So, for instance, I don't know if a lot of tribes are actually located directly next to their business like this one is. So we back up to tribal housing. We're on 101. And if you blink, you've passed through the Skokomish reservation. So I think some tribes have the luxury of having a larger property and things being pushed off a bit while they're still backed up to housing. And because I've done this in multiple states, and I get that, but we're so small that we really didn't want, and the tribal council's been very focused on taking care of their elder community. The Twin Totems store and the casino are such an integral part of people's day-to-day lives in that tribe, all walking distance from most housing right there, that it just doesn't make a lot of sense for us to allow a lot of the visitors in that start coming in March and April. Our business goes up about 50% from outside visitors, usually outside the state or like King County and other places, people coming to vacation or drive the 101 loop. And we know that. So we really wanted to kind of isolate from that because we normally don't get that type of visitation. When you get to even Little Creek, I mean, their player base is quite different than ours. We're very, very local. We're not even trying to compete with anyone. We really service just that general area. Although we do have people that play and have played there since we opened in 2000. It's a very small casino, as you can tell by our size and how many machines we have, and the fact we don't have table games or Keno or anything else, that we're just a slot casino. But we do have a lot of people come in and out, and we want to make sure that the tribe didn't have that kind of exposure, because that's the only way they would have. So that's why we closed the store, and that's why we closed the casino for longer than I think some. And I've talked to some tribes that they're still closed, and it depends on how rural I think you are in the conversations I've had. And we're pretty rural. So for us, it's like we're pretty calm about it. We never really got too excited. We just took a deep breath and said, we're willing to take a deep breath and move forward and wait for things to get better instead of try to push something that might not be the wisest thing. So
well, David, thank you.
Tribe size does make a difference.
Yeah, well, and thank you so much for expanding on that. We really appreciate it.
It's not just the number of tribal members, it's also the geographic size and our location to the visitation that comes through only in the summer and with the snowbirders. So
perfect. Well, thank you so much. It doesn't look like we have any other questions at this time. If some do come through, we'll go ahead and make sure those get to you. But in the meantime, thank you for your time, and I'll turn it over to Heidi to introduce our next speaker.
Awesome. Thank you.